I found dating apps on my boyfriend's phone. He says it's just for fun. Hi. I never thought I'd be the type of person to write one of these long, messy posts. But here I am at 2 a.m. with puffy eyes and a knot in my stomach. I, 26 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 28 male, for almost 4 years now. We've been living together for the past 2 in a small apartment that we decorated together with our mismatched IKEA furniture and framed photos from vacations where I honestly thought he was the one. For context, I'll call him D. D is funny, charming, and one of those people who lights up a room when he walks in. Everyone loves him. My friends, my parents, random bartenders. He has this magnetic energy that makes people feel seen, and it was honestly one of the things that drew me to him in the first place. Me? I'm a little quieter. I'm the stable one, the person who remembers birthdays, makes the grocery lists, and plans trips 6 months ahead. I like structure, comfort, the feeling of building something steady with someone I love. Together, we used to feel like this perfect balance. He's spontaneous. I'm practical. He's the loud laugh at a party. I'm the one making sure everyone gets home safe. We've had our ups and downs like any couple, but until recently, I really thought we were on a good path. I thought this was the man I was going to marry. But something happened last week that cracked my world open, and I honestly don't know how to process it. Dee and I met almost 5 years ago through mutual friends at a game night. I wasn't even supposed to go. I had just gotten out of a toxic situationship and told myself I wasn't ready to meet anyone new. But my best friend basically dragged me there, and then there he was. I remember the way he looked at me that first night, like he was already in on some secret joke. He teased me mercilessly about not knowing how to play Catan, and by the end of the night, he had somehow convinced me to give him my number. I went home with butterflies in my stomach, the kind I hadn't felt in years. The beginning was magical. He was attentive, funny, and incredibly romantic in his own silly way. We'd go on long drives with no destination, blasting old 2000 songs and singing until we lost our voices. He'd show up at my apartment with coffee just because he was thinking about me. When I got sick once, he stayed up all night binging Netflix with me and making sure I drank water. For the first 2 years, we were inseparable. We traveled a little, went to concerts, hosted dinner parties. My friends would look at us and say, "Wow, you guys are like a movie couple." And I believed it. When we moved in together, it felt like the next natural step. I gave up a chance to move cities for a better job because he wasn't ready to leave his. At the time, it didn't feel like a sacrifice. I loved him and believed in our future. I wanted to build a life with him, not separately. But if I'm being brutally honest, there were small cracks. Dee has always been flirty. Not in an obvious way, like hit on people in front of me, but he thrives on attention. He's the guy who compliments the bartender, who chats up strangers in line at the grocery store. Most of the time, I brushed it off. That's just who he is, I told myself. He loves people. He loves being liked. But there were moments that stung. Once, early our relationship, I found him DMing some girl he went to high school with. It wasn't explicitly sexual, but it was definitely flirty. When I confronted him, he said I was overreacting, that he just likes making people feel good. I forgave him. I always forgave him. Because alongside those things, he was also the guy who held me when my grandmother passed, who cheered me on through my master's program, who talked about marriage and kids and building a house someday. So I pushed down the doubts. I told myself no relationship is perfect, that all couples have little things they put up with. I wanted to believe that he was just a little immature, but ultimately loyal. Until last week, when everything I believed about him started to crumble. It happened last Friday night. It wasn't some dramatic, caught him sneaking out kind of thing. It was stupidly ordinary, which somehow makes it worse. We were on the couch, half watching a rerun of The Office while he scrolled TikTok. I was curled up against him, content, thinking about how cozy it all felt. At one point, he got up to grab a beer from the fridge and left his phone on the couch. Normally, I don't even glance at his phone. I'm not a snooper. I've always prided myself on trusting him. But then it lit up with a notification. The preview said something like, "You've got a new match." My heart immediately dropped into my stomach. My brain tried to rationalize it in a split second. It must be some spam app, maybe some random game notification, maybe even an ad. I picked up the phone. And there it was. Tinder. Right on his home screen. Not just Tinder, but Bumble, too. And Hinge. All neatly tucked away in a folder called Extras. Extras. As if our entire relationship was just an extra thing in his life. I felt this cold rush through my body, like every ounce of warmth drained out of me in 1 second. My hands were shaking as I opened Tinder. The app was logged in, his face smiling back at me. His bio said something like, "Just looking for fun, not sure what I want, but down for adventures, Winky." My heart was pounding so loudly I could barely hear the TV anymore. I scrolled. Dozens of matches. Conversations. Flirty ones. "You're gorgeous. What are you up to tonight? We should grab drinks sometime." I swear the room started spinning. When he came back in with his beer, I was still holding his phone, staring at it like it was a weapon. I looked up at him, and I don't even remember the exact words that came out of my mouth, but it was something like, "What the actual hell is this?" His face froze for a split second before he smirked, like he'd been caught sneaking an extra cookie before dinner. Then he just shrugged. "Oh, that? It's nothing. Just for fun." Just for fun. I couldn't breathe. My voice cracked as I asked him if he was serious, if he was actually out there looking for other women. He laughed, and said, "Babe, it's like a game. I like swiping. I don't actually meet up with anyone." I don't think I've ever felt more humiliated in my life. I was sitting there, crying, asking him why, begging him to tell me how this was nothing, and he just kept brushing it off like I was making a big deal out of nothing. "Everyone does it," he said. "You're being dramatic." That night, I didn't sleep. I lay awake next to him, staring at the ceiling, replaying every single moment of our relationship in my head, wondering if it was all a lie. The argument that followed is burned into my brain like a bad tattoo. When I confronted him, I thought maybe he would panic, apologize, beg me not to leave, delete everything on the spot. That's what you see in movies, right? A man realizing he screwed up, realizing he's about to lose the best thing that's ever happened to him, but instead, he rolled his eyes. At first, he doubled down on the "it's just for fun" excuse. He compared it to playing Candy Crush. I'm not kidding. He literally said, "You know how you scroll Instagram Reels when you're bored? That's what Tinder is for me. Swiping is fun. I like seeing who matches. It boosts my ego. It doesn't mean anything." I told him no. I begged him to understand how humiliating it was for me, how disgusting it felt to know that while I was folding our laundry and planning our future, he was out there virtually shopping for women like they were sneakers. He got defensive. "You're twisting it. I never met up with anyone. I didn't cheat. You're acting like I slept with half the city. I didn't. I just like the attention. What's so wrong with that?" I was shaking, my voice cracking, and I told him, "What's wrong is that I thought I was enough for you. I thought a relationship meant more than some swipe on a screen." And then came the gaslighting.
The way he looked at me like I was the crazy one, like I was blowing up a perfectly good relationship over nothing. You're insecure. This is your problem, not mine. You're always overthinking. You don't trust me, and that's on you. I can't explain the feeling. It's like being stabbed and then having the person who stabbed you say, "Why are you crying? You're so sensitive." I started crying harder, saying I didn't know if I could ever trust him again. His response? He sighed dramatically, slammed his beer down, and said, "God, you're impossible. Why do I even bother telling you the truth if you're just going to twist it into something it's not?" The truth? The truth was that he had multiple dating apps with active profiles with messages to women telling them how beautiful they were. But somehow I was the problem for not accepting his explanation that it was just for fun. I barely remember the rest of the night. I cried until my chest hurt. He went to bed early, muttering something about how I needed to grow up and stop making drama. And I lay there wondering if I was crazy. If maybe this was something other couples dealt with. If maybe my standards were too high. But deep down in the pit of my stomach, I knew no woman should have to accept this. The next morning, I felt like I had been hit by a truck. Puffy eyes, pounding headache, that hollow feeling in my chest that only comes from crying until you're empty. D acted like nothing happened. He made coffee, kissed me on the forehead, and scrolled his phone while humming to himself, like the night before had been a dream I imagined. That was the moment I realized I couldn't keep this bottled up. I needed perspective. I needed someone outside the bubble of his dismissiveness to tell me if I was crazy. So I called my best friend Elle. Elle has never been a huge fan of D. She's polite, but she's always said he has player vibes. Still, she never pushed it because I seemed happy. When I told her about the dating apps, her reaction was immediate. "Girl, that's cheating. Full stop." She didn't hesitate, didn't sugarcoat it. She said if her boyfriend had Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge, she'd dump him on the spot. It doesn't matter if he met up with anyone or not. He's out there advertising himself as single. That's betrayal. Hearing her say that out loud made me cry all over again because it confirmed what I already knew deep down. But at the same time, I wanted to defend him. I caught myself saying, "But he said it's just for fun." And she cut me off. "Do you think you're having fun right now? Do you look like you're having fun? No, he's having fun at your expense." Her words hit me like a slap. Later that week, I tried to talk to his sister. We're decently close. I thought maybe she'd give me some insight or at least hold him accountable. Instead, she sighed and said something like, "That's just how he is. He likes attention. He's always been that way. Don't take it too seriously." I wanted to scream, "Don't take it too seriously?" I was imagining a life with this man, marriage, kids, growing old together. And I'm supposed to shrug off the fact that he's advertising himself online as if I don't exist? When I confronting him again with what Elle said, things exploded. He accused me of turning people against him. He said I was airing our dirty laundry and that I should have kept it private. Then he spun it into me being controlling, that I want to police who he talks to and don't let him have harmless fun. And here's the kicker. I dug deeper. I don't even know what came over me, but one night I went through his phone while he was in the shower. My hands were shaking the whole time. I hate snooping, but I couldn't stop myself. And there they were, messages. Not just casual, hey messages, but flirty, suggestive conversations. A couple of women had even given him his numbers. One text said, "Can't wait to see you." My heart felt like it split clean in half. When I confronted him with that, he swore up and down that he never actually met up with anyone, that he just likes the chase, that he would never cross the line. But in my mind, the line was already crossed. We fought for hours. I said I couldn't live like this, that I felt like I was slowly being erased from my own relationship. He cried, actual tears, and begged me not to leave. He said he'd delete the apps, said he'd prove he loved me. I wanted to believe him so badly that I agreed to try. But 2 days later, I caught him re-downloading Tinder. After catching him re-downloading Tinder, something inside me snapped. Not in a dramatic, throw his stuff out the window way, more like a quiet, suffocating collapse. I felt this heavy, gnawing dread that I couldn't shake, like I was walking around with a 50-pound weight strapped to my chest. I couldn't sleep. Every time he rolled over in bed and his phone lit up, my heart jumped into my throat. Was it another match? Was he swiping at 2 a.m. while I lay next to him? I started checking his phone constantly while he was in the shower, while he went to grab groceries, even just when he left it unattended for a minute. I hated myself for it, but I couldn't stop myself. I felt like a detective in my own home, piecing together evidence of how little I mattered. And every time I found something, a fresh match, a new message, I felt like I was dying all over again. I stopped eating properly. My stomach was in knots most of the time. My coworkers noticed I was quieter, more distracted. My best friend begged me to just leave him, said she was scared for me, that I was losing myself. But I kept clinging to him, to the version of him I fell in love with, the one who used to make me laugh until I cried. The worst part was he acted like I was the unstable one. Every time I confronted him, he twisted it back on me. Why are you snooping? That's toxic. You're obsessed with catching me doing something wrong. You're ruining this relationship with your paranoia. And the terrifying part was I started believing him. I started thinking maybe I was crazy. Maybe I was insecure. Maybe normal couples do let their partners swipe just for fun, and I was the weird one who couldn't handle it. But then I'd see a new message on his screen. "You're so sexy," or "Wish you were here." And the reality would come crashing back in. No! This isn't normal. This isn't love. One night, I woke up around 3 a.m. He wasn't in bed. My chest immediately tightened. I got up and found him on the couch, phone in hand, thumb swiping right. When he saw me standing there, he froze. And I'll never forget the look on his face. Not guilt, not shame, just annoyance, like I was interrupting his game. Something inside me cracked wide open in that moment. I realized I didn't recognize the man in front of me anymore. Or maybe I did. Maybe this was who he had always been, and I just refused to see it. I went back to bed and cried into my pillow so quietly he wouldn't hear. And that was the moment I knew. Whether or not he physically cheated didn't even matter. The trust was gone. The safety was gone. I was gone. So here I am, sitting in my car outside a Starbucks, writing this on my phone because I feel like I'm going to explode if I don't get it all out. I feel torn in two. On one hand, I love him. I love the version of him I met years ago, the man who made me feel like I was the only girl in the room. I love the little moments we've built, the late-night drives, the way he sings off-key in the shower, the way he hugs me when I've had a bad day. I can't just erase 4 years of my life. But on the other hand, I don't trust him at all. Every time he picks up his phone, my chest tightens. Every time he smiles at a text, I feel sick. I keep replaying the words "just for fun" in my head like they're poison. How do you stay with someone when their fun is actively destroying you? He swears he'll change. After that 3 a.m. night on the couch, he promised, again, that he'd delete the apps. He even showed me as he did it. But he's done that before. He's deleted them only to re-download them days later. It feels like whack-a-mole. I catch him, he promises, I believe him, and then he does it again. Some of my friends are firmly in the dump him yesterday camp. Elle says I'm addicted to the relationship, that I'm clinging to the fantasy of who I thought he was. Another friend told me to at least move out for a while and see how I feel on my own. But then there's my mom, who genuinely loves him. She says, all men need a little ego boost sometimes. As long as he's not physically cheating, maybe you shouldn't throw away a good thing. That sentence gutted me because it sounded like permission to accept scraps. And here's my truth. I don't want scraps. I want to be with someone who chooses me every single day, who doesn't need to swipe on strangers to feel alive. Yet, when I imagine packing my things and leaving, I feel paralyzed. I picture his face crumpling, him begging me not to go, and I wonder if I'll be making the biggest mistake of my life. So I'm stuck in this awful limbo, loving him but not trusting him, wanting a future but knowing the foundation is rotting. I don't know if people can actually come back from this. I don't know if I'm naive for even considering giving him another chance. So Reddit, this is where I am. I feel like I'm going insane. I'm 26 years old and 4 years deep into this relationship, and I don't even recognize myself anymore. I used to be confident, happy, grounded. Now I'm anxious, paranoid, checking his phone like some obsessed detective. I hate who I've become, but I love him. Or maybe I love the idea of him, the version of him I first met, who looked at me like I was his entire world. That man feels like a ghost now, and I don't know if I'm holding on to a memory or if there's something still worth saving. Every time I bring this up, he flips it on me, says I'm insecure, dramatic, impossible to please. But if this is nothing, why do I feel like my heart is being ripped out of my chest? If it's just for fun, why am I crying myself to sleep next to him? Part of me thinks I should just pack my bags and leave, rip the Band-Aid off, save myself before I waste another year begging someone to choose me. But the other part whispers, what if he really means it this time? What if he actually changes? What if I leave and regret it forever? I feel so broken and lost. So, I need to ask you, internet strangers, am I wrong for feeling this way? Is this actually cheating, or am I being too sensitive? Can people really use dating apps just for fun without it meaning anything? Should I stay and try again, or should I finally walk away?